Welcome back to In Real Life with Ellie and Ross. And today...
And Daisy.
Yes. But we are joined by someone who has a super, super crazy story.
Mm-hmm.
Say super again.
Super, super duper. You might have heard his name in a bit of a different context
Maybe
few
a little
years
while
ago.
ago. Maybe. I don't know. If you're reading the Sunshine News, what's the daily newspaper up there?
Yeah, 2014 maybe, October.
Yeah.
But you've turned your life around and you're helping thousands of people in the process be the best version of their physical and mental self. Formerly infamous, now...
Formerly an inmate.
Yeah, formerly an
I
inmate.
think this is the secret that we're keeping, right?
Even I figured that.
But now known for all the right reasons. We're chatting to Aussie entrepreneur and former inmate, Callan Krause.
Thanks.
Welcome. We'll insert a round of applause.
Yes,
Thanks for
round of
having me.
applause.
Crowd goes wild.
I love the outfits. I love all the rings you got going on and your
Oh, thanks.
professionalism. I love that you're just so
blings.
casual.
That's
and it's
me.
just like, that's the
That's
perfect
me.
balance for you two guys.
Yeah.
hey?
However, we're also like super color coded today,
Yeah.
which
She's
I
the
love.
star and I'm just like dark matter.
No, Daisy's the star, and then maybe I
Sorry,
follow
sorry, yeah.
closely behind.
Yeah.
But you're also very main character
Thanks,
energy
mate.
as well.
Thank you.
Do you choose Ross's fashion? Like, do you
No.
choose? You don't?
No,
Oh,
I will. If we go shopping together, I'll guide him in the
Okay.
right direction.
She won't let me wear certain shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's, she's like, you look like a clown.
They're usually right. They're usually
She's,
right.
yeah, look, she probably is. I
Yeah.
don't care so much. It's not really a fashion. I just like shoes. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, she does. She's like, you're not wearing them.
Sometimes the shoes can look a bit clowny, so
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
morning I
I'm
messaged
just-
my sister and I was like, this or that? And she goes, this. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
sweet, I'll trust.
Smart.
shout out to
Having a
Rani.
feminine touch is always good.
It's necessary.
Yes,
I need more of
it
that in my
is.
life, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not what we have you here to talk about. If we want
Yeah.
to talk about fashion, let's go. But
yeah.
we want to talk about you, your story.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a business, Corrective Culture, but it's really a lifestyle for you.
Yeah.
So we really want to dive into that.
Awesome.
Hopefully, last episode we had Sally O'Neill, a clinical nutritionist, almost a psychologist, who mainly specializes in female health. Is your stuff split? Is it neutral? Is it?
Well, I mean, our following's exactly 50-50, I think. But yeah, it is. It's anyone with a human body can relate. So all my stuff is, if you're a human, you can relate, you know?
Okay.
Because my niche is definitely movement and rehab. Like my true passion, like it's definitely holistic health, right? But my true passion is very much rehab based, like back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, and how to look at that from evolution aspect of it all, like a foundational aspect of like what is the way we're meant to move in regard to our biology and regard to our evolution from since we're a single cell organism to now, really.
Yeah.
But and definitely, but it's funny. I like working with females more.
Of course you do.
Yeah,
Same.
true. True.
I want to rewind back to 2014.
Yeah. So how did you get there?
Wait. Okay, so bit of backstory. You were sentenced to 2.5 years in jail, suspended after you served 7 months after pleading guilty to possession of 100 caps of MDMA
Yep.
and charged with 8 counts of supply.
Yep.
When that sentence was handed down to you in the courtroom, what was just your initial feeling that flooded through you?
So the funny thing is, I didn't think I was going to go. So I guess there's a pro with that because I wasn't stressing the whole time. I had a surfboard. I had a ute at the time. I had a surfboard in the back of my ute ready to go for a surf, thinking, oh, I'm good. And then before we went into the court, the lawyer sat me down. Duty lawyer, by the way, at the time. I hid it from the family because I was like, oh, I'm not going to go to jail. Like, I can't put it on mum to pay for a lawyer, which she would have done, right? But I just thought I'd be fine. And basically he goes, oh, this isn't looking too good, you know, like you're probably like gonna go. And I feel like with the duty lawyers, it's sketchy. They sort of like already have it
A
sorted.
duty
with the
lawyer
judge.
is provided for you.
Provided for me.
Okay, right.
And because the police officer told me that got me, he goes, oh man, you'll be fine. Like just this lawyer will be fine. Duty lawyer will be fine. Because I actually knew the police officer that got me because I was early days a CrossFitter, like full early days when it just started. And I did CrossFit with him. And he was the one that got me, right?
That's not very nice.
Yeah, I know. He didn't even know he was getting me too. Like,
Oh no.
he was watching this guy's house. I was getting these capsules for this. I think it was Stereosonic at the time, and I wasn't even going. I was getting it for like the crew, you know. it's funny how you look back at your past and the
Yeah,
choices.
so without like, I think hearing that in a snapshot, people might think that you're like a dealer or something. That's not the case. You were just holding. You were the one who got some drugs for some mates, and you get to sort of give them out to everyone.
Well, I was, but supply, not trafficking. So there's a difference. Like supply is like small, your group,
Yeah.
but you still, I was making money on it, but not really. Like,
Yeah.
you know, looking back on it, I basically went to prison for it. I think I bought a PS3 or 4 out of it, whatever it was at the time. Like, I think that's what I bought. And just, I don't know. It was just, you don't even know at the time. You're like a kid, you know? But anyway, they were watching this guy's house. They got me and everyone else went to his house. And then, yeah, a year later, I did all these drug tests. So I pretty well showed the court, okay, I'm not addicted to drugs. So I did all these drug tests. I didn't do anything wrong. I worked full time. I was training jiu-jitsu at the time. Pretty well like the archetype of like the guy that's, all right, he's not going to do it again. And then he goes, all I heard was 2.5 years first. And I'm just like doing the power math in my head because I was 22 at the time. I was like, 2.5 years, that's like...
I'm going to be 40.
Yeah. Like it felt like that, man. It felt like that. And it was it's true the feeling you're talking about because it was a sinking feeling because it was a surprise. And I'm glad it was a surprise. I didn't have to freak out about it leading up to it. But I just looked straight at mum. Mum was breaking down. So mum was crying. And that's probably the most painful memory of it is like her crying. And then dad just sort of punched me in the chest and was like, be strong. And it's like a dream sort of. It was so intense. And then this female police officer came and I can see she felt bad taking me. She was like, oh, you know, I got to take you now, but quickly say goodbye to them. But I meant to take you now, you know?
Weren't they making a point at the time of making an example out of you as well?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because there was no one getting anything similar, and that's why everyone was so shocked because you had such a heavy sentence granted to you.
If I to put in perspective, the guy I bought him off got 6 months and I got 7 months, you know? So he paid for a lawyer. Which makes no sense. This is when we talk about when you think about the rules in life, we think it's this whole fair system, but there's a lot of bullshit going on, right? And the fact that you can do the same crime, but if you have money, you'll do less time. That wasn't an awareness to me, and it still sometimes isn't for people. They think, oh, it's all just law, you know? But it's not like that. Like even if the judge knows you paid for a lawyer, I feel like it makes a difference, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely made an example. And I just heard court order parole in 7 months. So that just means I'm going to get out in 7 months and I'll be on, for the rest of my time, I'll be on like a suspended sentence. And if I mess up, they send me in for the rest of the time, which would be almost 2 years. So yeah, the feeling was a sinking feeling. And they took me straight down to the watch house. And the worst bit, this is where it's cool about like solitary. I mean, you think about people with depression and being alone. It was a feeling of like, oh, this is what loneliness would feel like when you're fully by yourself. But I was in a cell, no sunlight for 5 nights, 6 days, I think. And those 5 days were worse. I remember saying afterwards, I'd rather do a month in prison than 5 days in the watch house. Because it's different when you're just in a room with no TV that we're used to, no phone, no radio. I got a book. I got a Wilbur Smith book, biggest book I read in my life. That fat, I read it in like 3 days, just nonstop. And I escaped in that book. It was like Africa. So that was the most intense part because you're in your mind and then you're wondering, what does tomorrow bring? When are they going to take me? What happens when I get there? Am I going to have to fight for my food? Am I going to just nonstop pressure the entire time? So yeah, it was a sinking feeling. But at the same time, I'm glad I didn't have to think I was going the whole time. It was like a surprise. And when you look back on your journey, you see how, that was the universe's plan because I wouldn't be here now without it.
So while you were in jail, what was one of the hardest things that you went through?
I would say, to be honest, like with my personality, it didn't weigh me down too much. After the first week, I got used to it. The hardest things were just your freedom's gone. So you're not, it was actually the feeling of like I'm losing time and I'm doing nothing. Like I'm not working towards anything. I'm just in here. My health is deteriorating slowly compared to how I usually like to eat, right? So you're eating just scrap food, basically, a lot of carbs. Like everyone gets fat in there. You think you're going to go in and get all shredded and ripped. I sort of did because I worked out, but most don't. Like 90% of the guys just get overweight, right? And you think you're going to train, but they don't. They just like sit there and play cards.
Yeah, it's not Prison Break.
Nah, it's
So
not.
what do they actually feed you?
So basically, breakfast, it's like, well, breakfast is cereal and there's like bread and like peanut butter and that sort of stuff. So it's almost like a war for the bread at the start of the day. So all the bread hits the unit, right? This is probably like, I don't know, I can't remember, 10 loaves or something. And you're trying to get your bread, literally get the bread. So, and you're having more bread than you'd want even on the outside, but just because it's like you want your bread, you get like, I was probably getting like 4 or 5 pieces and just like smearing it with whatever, eating that. I didn't enjoy cereal, so I didn't eat cereal, but basically it was bread and butter and jam and peanut butter and Vegemite and stuff for breakfast. And then for lunch, it's always like a deli meat with salad that's got no dressing on it, you know, just like the full like tuck shop style stuff. And every Friday you get hot dogs though. And that was like, I was really happy about that. Some guys wouldn't want their hot dogs, so I'd give them a token, which is what you have, like a can of Coke. That's like currency in there, it's tokens. And it's for the vending machine, but really it's used as currency. So people use it like money for drugs, everything, right? And so I would give people my token and they would give me like their hot dogs and whatnot. Dinner was always like a curry or roast beef, but the boys make the dinner. So there's like there's a workers unit that do all the cooking. So it's like they're doing it for themselves too. So they do their best. It wasn't so bad, you know. Some people didn't like it so much. I'm not a fussy eater. I ate it all. But and I'd have mee goreng and tuna every night because you can buy food too and have extra food. That's what I mean. You're blowing yourself up on carbs. Yeah. So you're just going to get all that water weight. Like everyone's getting water weight, sitting down, playing cards.
Did you know this? Did you know this? But like, were you health conscious before going in? Were you?
Yeah, but not to the level I am now. My health, it was fitness conscious, not health conscious. Right. And now that we know that's not synonymous. So, did I say that word right? Something like that. But you know, like, so there's people that are like into fitness, but they eat really poorly, you know, and their organs are probably inflamed, their skin's really bad. So
stop looking at me while you say that.
So mine, I definitely was conscious of it. So I was conscious not to be drinking Coca-Cola and stuff all the time. People would wake up and drink Coca-Cola. You know, it's like we went on a cruise ship the other month in Europe, and people wake up and just Coca-Cola and like just so much food, and you forget people in there are doing that too, and not training. So I got sick a few times in there. A lot of the boys do. Just run down. You're sleeping in aircon all the time. Like some days if it was so hot, they wouldn't allow you outside, and there's no grass. So whatever that grounding is, whatever you want to talk about, like it's you're just on concrete the whole time. Yeah. And it's the yard is like probably a 10, maybe 12 meter long, probably 6 meter wide, and you just walk back and forth, just touch the fence. When they say go for a walk, the boys were like, let's go for a walk. And you just touch the fence, walk back, touch, and hang out. And man, to be honest though, it's almost like school, but with more consequences if you're not liked. That's what it felt like. Right. And it wasn't also a bunch of bad masculine, there's violence, but not masculinity. Like I now look at them, a lot of the guys like almost like kids that whether they weren't loved or they just didn't know how to express themselves, so they choose violence before that. And then in there, they find community. And then it's not like jail in Australia is not that bad. It's pretty cruisy, you know? And it wouldn't even put you off crimes because you get a TV in your cell. Yeah. You know, like you have your own shower, you get fed, like you're playing cards, you're working out. For my life now, that's not great, but for some people's life out there, it's like that's better.
So did you have a routine? Did you, you know, for the first month, did you go inward and reflect, or was it just like, I'm just here? I know a lot of our gay listeners will like to know if you had a boyfriend in there. What was that? What's that like? What's the whole?
Or if you were someone's boyfriend.
Nah. Well,
Callan is straight, by the way. I'm not implying anything. I'm just
the routine. Okay, I didn't know how to shuffle cards before I walked in. Now I'm like, just. So I learned how to shuffle cards. Cards gets played every day. So it's like the thing, you play cards. Chop is the game for people wondering. We will play a game called Chop. It's the best card game ever. I'd still play it. But everyone does that. And then I would get up and you'd have your breakfast and then you'd work out. Well, I would work out. A lot of people just go straight to the cards. So, and there's always a couple crew that want to do it. And there's always a deck of cards workout. So you have a deck of cards, which is 4 suits. And then you add an exercise to the suit. So say squats would be clubs. If you draw 7, you do 7 squats. and you go through the deck of cards. And that would be the workout we do often. So you're actually working out pretty hard.
Yeah.
And then you just have like your water. They give you green tea. So you put green tea bags in water, and that's sort of like your cordial. And you just get sort of used to that sort of stuff. So that honestly, cards all day. I was doing a little bit of poetry when I was in my cell at night, which is so weird because I haven't done it since. But you just, I don't know, you do reflect a bit. But at the same time, I was still 22. So you're still a boy. Like your psyche as a 22-year-old man is like, you're a boy. You know, that's the way I think of it. And so there wasn't a lot of reflection, but I was friends with everyone, and I just do as much as I could. Like I was a blue belt at jiu-jitsu at the time. So I've done jiu-jitsu for 13 years now, but I'd done it for maybe 3 years when I went in. So that was enough for me to feel safe in my aura even. So I didn't even have to use it, but I definitely saw people do hard time. Weaker people do hard time. And
what do you mean by that?
I mean, like, so an example is I walked in to the unit and this guy named Carl, and it's funny when we talk about sexuality, like these guys that I guess in the closet, he was only doing 3 months. He had a missus on the outside, and he was getting sucked off in the shower from Rob every night. Rob was the gay guy in the unit. There seems to be a conveniently placed gay guy in every unit. And
just to keep it safe amongst
well,
everyone.
and it's almost more progressive in there than it is out here. Like no one cares. No one, you're still one of the boys. You still, hey mate, rah, rah. Like there's no, you know, no one cares. It's almost like no one's fragile with that for some reason.
Yeah.
So he was great. He loved me. He loved me. Yeah.
Rob
Of course
did?
he did.
Yeah. So he would watch me work out, and like, and he was harmless, you know, like he's a nice guy, but
Was he like up against the glass? Like
he was. I remember like he was leaning back on the cage because he had the cage, and I'm just doing this workout with one of the other boys in the yard, and he'd just be like just watching, you know. And one time, because I have a tattoo on my stomach, and one time he touched it, and he's like, "Oh, where's that tattoo run?" Like, you know, because it goes down a little bit, and he's like, "Just where's that tattoo run?" But then Carl somehow got cellmates with him. I love how you'd all imagine what they all look like. You'd have this image of all these people, you know? And then he, every night, apparently, that's what we heard, that he was just sucking them off in the shower. And remember, every cell has their own shower. So it's not like in the movies where you all line up and it's all in the showers. It was all pretty good here, right? So he would do that. But Carl hit me up the first day in there and goes, "Oh, you got some, what do you have? Noodles. You got some noodles for me?" And this is the test, right? It's a subtle test, but they probably don't even know they're doing it. And I was like, "Oh, you got some, what do you got? Like, you got tuna? What do I get? You know, I'm not even your friend yet." And that's okay once you're friends. You give stuff to people. There is a bit of camaraderie. Like, everyone calls each other brother. Like, "Oh, I'll help you out, man," you know? But there has to be some respect there or something. And I just said, "No, where's your tuna?" He didn't have any. So I said, "See you later." It ended then. I saw another guy come into the unit. He already had a bit of a black eye. And one of the brothers come up to him and was like, this is such a good example about posture too, when we get into posture, because we forget that posture is like the way the world sees you. When we talk about these archetypes, and it is in your character. It's not just muscle imbalances and strengthening the muscles. It is in the energy. Like right now you're in the tall posture. That's in your energy already.
Yeah.
Right? That's
because I'm a bad bitch.
Yeah, you're a bad bitch queen archetype, right? So that's in you. And you can feel it change if you were to go like this. Your whole aura changes. And this guy was in with this rounded posture. And I knew to walk into the unit looking like a gorilla. And it was all fake. I was still scared, but I had that awareness knowing this is how people perceive you. And this is from my dad, which we'll get into. But so that was huge. And he came in, rounded shoulders, looking at the ground, already had a little bit of a black eye, which means someone must have tested him. And then they come up and go, "Oh, you got a token for me, bro? Like, you know, you got a token?" And he's like, "Oh, no, it's me when my daughter comes and visits, like, because you can use the tokens in the visiting machines." And he goes, "Come on, you got a token for me?" And he goes, "All right." He handed him a token in front of everyone. So then they all just lined up. You know, "Oh, you gave him a token. Why wouldn't you give me a token? Like, what's wrong?" You know? And then he got his stuff taken from him. Someone smacked him in the eye a couple of days later, and he got transferred to another unit. And that would probably just happen to him no matter where he goes, right?
Yeah.
And I saw it happen to a few people, you know, where they were just, if he did anything, if he just stood up for himself in the slightest, then maybe others would have also stood up for him and was like, but the rule sort of is you have to first stand up for yourself, and then people respect that. Even if that guy that punched him, if he punched him back, the next day they would have been fine. They wouldn't have been like, "Oh, I got to get you back." It's not like that. it's like respect. But if you don't do that, it's sort of like your food, survival of the fittest. And like, oh, you're weak. Okay, we don't have stuff. We'll take it from you, because that's been since the beginning of time. That's happened in life in more ways than not. So it's like I saw that, and then I was like, okay, that matters. That posture matters. The way you walk into a unit matters. So you walk up to everyone, shake their hand, broad shoulders, tall cervical spine, and even fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing that, yeah, you'll get eaten, and he did.
And that's reflected in life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see the people who like they are slouched over, and there's any ton of Robin stuff he always talks about is like, act like a depressed person. The first thing you do, your eyes go down, shoulders go down, and your physiology influences how you move and how you feel inside. Is that something you learnt in there, or is it something that you sort of started to put the dots together in there?
My father, so he used to say to me, do you smile because you're happy, or are you happy because you smile? Right. And that's an example of what you're saying there. Like, you can be a bit down, but you put a smile on it, you feel an energy come with that. Same thing when you feel sad, there's an energy that goes with that, rounded shoulders. So growing up, my father was basically into Callan Krause, which is an awareness through movement slogan. So growing up, he'd be on the ground, rolling around, looking over his right shoulder, looking over his left shoulder, and he'd say, how many ways can you look over your shoulder? Or how many ways can you sit on that chair? Or see that person walking on the beach? What does that say about them? Like, because a lot of the time you can tell that they're related and they look completely different, but since they have the same gait, walk pattern, they've learnt to walk from the same parents. So I learnt it before it, and it really drilled it in there. And basically, it's such a big thing. Like, it is such a big thing. And I don't think people realize how much. Like, I remember meeting a guy for a business meeting, and I went with others, and he was a bit of like a staunch guy, and I mirrored it. I was like, oh yeah. And I noticed within about 30 seconds, he started directing the whole conversation towards me, just talking to me and sort of ignoring the others. And I remember witnessing that at the time, thinking, oh, okay, like, where else does this play out in life? Like, the guy that's all rounded out in the club, say if we were still clubbing, right? He's not, girls will see that subconsciously and be like, why would I choose him?
Yeah.
What a loser.
Yeah, what a loser. Because it's
no, I actually wouldn't think anyone's a loser. But
I mean, that comes from nature. You see that in like the animal kingdom, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's evolution.
You don't see like the leader of the pride, the lion, like slouched over. It's like, no, it's like they're proud as fuck. It's like, and they're willing to stand up for stuff.
Oh, it's evolution, basically. Yeah. So that's what I see it as. Like, it's, this person's rounded. He's not safe to be around. He's trying to make himself look small, so we don't see him as a target. So that may work, and then it may not. When someone tests you, they'll take your stuff. So I saw it as like a magnification of the rules in the outside world. Same thing when you're talking to a girl, or a girl's talking to a guy, or same thing in business or any little situation. It's amazing how your body shape, like angles of your arm. It's amazing how if my right hand is internally rotated by 45 degrees, that changes the way you see me. And you wouldn't even know it, but it does, you know? So yeah, I learned that before, and I witness it all the time. I catch people all the time, and yeah, it's a big thing.
We could talk about prison all day. I love Prison Break and all those prison crime shows, and we can talk about that later when we're not talking about this stuff today. But I would love to know how going through that experience, being in prison, changed the trajectory of your life. If you felt like you didn't have that experience, how different do you think your life would be now?
I think what it did was it made me think about time more as the commodity. So like, I felt like the feeling I got when I got out was I just lost 7 months. I need to catch up on those 7 months. I need to do twice as much as I did if I didn't do anything. So,
but were you aspiring to anything before you went in there? Because that seems a bit unusual.
Yeah.
Like, you don't lose time if you're not focused on anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The time almost equaled like money too. Like, I was like, okay, well, I didn't work for these last 7 months. I was scaffolding at the time, which is funny because it's sort of what I do with the body now. I look at tension and compression, and you see how the scaffolding helped that. But so it made me want to, I knew I'd never go back. I knew that. Most of the guys in there go straight back, and they're all drug addicts, 90% of them, right? So they're great people, right? They're not going to do crime because they don't need to. They're fed. They're not addicted to drugs. As soon as they get out, they're drug addicts. They need to fund it, and they start robbing people and whatnot. And the people that rob people in there, they're like the most gifting people ever. It's weird how the drug can change you when really a lot of these people are good guys. I played chess with a guy that fucked two dudes, killed him, and ate him. His name was so many Robs actually. It's like 3-4 Robs, and I thought he was the most normal dude ever, you know. And I didn't know for ages though.
It's like because he was like a full sociopath.
Yeah, and like almost a sort of good-looking guy. Like he would have been probably 30 at the time. I was 22, and yeah, and you could see there's an archetype of these guys that these the ones that like when they break up with the missus, they stalk them, sort of archetype, where they just would lose control, where they would like stalk it, probably kill the partner. He was that sort of vibe where nice guy, hey man, but if you were to say something weird, he'd probably go to his cell at night and think about it for 8 hours and wake up and try and like stab you or something.
Yeah.
That was the energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw these like normal people. A guy I played tennis with made 2 guys dig their own graves and shot them both here in the Gold Coast years ago. It was like a famous story from this guy did it in the Gold Coast, these brothers. And I played tennis with him and he was the kindest dude ever, but you forget you're not forgiving, but you can see how people are where they are because I didn't have the same upbringing they did. And they're all from the same area. They're always from like, Woodridge and Nala, this sort of area. So it does, it's like you take the hate away from it and the blame, and you're like, oh, you're just a product of your environment, and that's unlucky for you that you're going to have to suffer for that, because they don't have the same guidance. They didn't have the same parents, the same opportunities, whatever it may be. And yeah, it was intense. But what did I get from that? I got time. Like, I really respected time, and now I have more of a urgency to get things done because time flies. It really does. But it's it's hard. Help business. Like, there's a bit of a backstory, you know, and because some people think your life's going to be over, but it's not. It's not. I didn't need to. I got every job I needed to go. I'm currently going through the visa process to get into the States now, so I'll be allowed in there eventually. Didn't hinder me at all. It only helped me.
Yeah, right.
Do you feel like it brought your real passion to life when you were in there? Is that how you realized that you wanted to? Did you come out and you're like, I want to create Corrective Culture?
Nah. That came later.
Is Corrective Culture a play on corrective?
Nah, nothing to do with that.
No?
Nah, Ronnie just came up with the name one day and I was like, that sounds good.
Shout out to Ronnie again.
That's my sister, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's corrective exercise. But I mean, it does make sense with that, like corrective services. But no, it wasn't until a few years later that I realized I want to do that. But looking back on it, I can see how that helped more the mental, emotional, and the psyche. Because I reckon what it did was I now see the posture, but I also see what the energy is with that posture and the way that person may think with that posture, which before I probably would have just looked at that posture and thought tight pec, long serratus, rah, 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 from a musculoskeletal perspective. Now I look at it through both lenses and I can see, like, I'll pull people up, I'll give them an exercise, it opens them up, makes them feel good, say their shoulders and hurt. But then I watch them start talking to me and maybe they talk about something that's a bit deeper and then their body will change with it. And I just bring their awareness to it so then they don't do that again because it is awareness. Everything's awareness. So once you can catch yourself a few times, you catch yourself more and then you can change the way you move. And you change the body, you change the mind, and you change the mind, you change the body. I think they're just as important as each other.
So where did it all start? I mean, let's say you meet someone in an elevator, you got 30 seconds, like, oh, what do you do?
Yeah, so what do I do?
Yeah.
Man,
So what is career? You've mentioned some words that I need to Google later. I know I'm never playing cards with you. But like what is career for those who don't know? What is it that you do and you focus on now as corrective culture, and as you as just a being?
Yeah. So it started, so I met my mate Jake. Jake Stone's my business partner. Jake was already sort of known in the bodyboarding world. He's one of the top bodyboarders in the world.
This is pre-going?
This is after.
After,
So I met him at jiu-jitsu, right? Yeah. And then Jake's a deep soul. Like, it's yin yang. I'm yang, he's yin. He's the sort of one, like, it was unique for me because me and my dad used to have sort of deeper talks about things that I wouldn't talk to other men about really. And just about like death and the soul and whatever it was, And then I met Jake and he was the first man I met that he was like, oh, have you read the Tibetan Book of the Dead? And I was like, what? Like, who's read the Tibetan Book of the Dead? And he opened me up to all these like Alan Watts and Abraham Hicks or just all these philosopher type, just curiosity of like, what are we? Because it was all so superficial. It was all just like white picket fence, house, get your job, become a Sparky, whatever it was, get your trade. There was no opening to that. So when I met him, it really opened that up. And I knew there was a uniqueness to it. And I was like, man, we got to start something. Because he had a back injury that he was meant to get his spine fused. So a lot of you listeners who have back pain, right? He was meant to get his spine fused from 4 different people, meant to be the best back surgeon in Australia. And Sydney goes, nah, you need to fuse your spine 100%. He was told he could never ride a bodyboard again. This is when he was traveling the world nonstop. They were flying him everywhere around the world. And his back pain was so bad that he was only 20 and said, oh, you're going to have to fuse your spine. That's you bodyboarding done. There's your career done. He's now 36, has no back pain symptoms, right? Just for people listening. But imagine if he got his spine fused. Imagine if you listened to the very first person you went to. Lucky it took him like the 7th person before he met a Czech practitioner, which is what I do, which we'll get into, that it fixed his back. And for people listening here, to spondylolisthesis, which is basically, and a lot of you may have it or not realize, where it's basically if you stick your bum out or back bend and it hurts, it's usually that sort of injury, that sort of symptom, like an extension-based injury from going into hyperextension in the lumbar spine. So a lot of people have like the anterior pelvic tilt. A lot of females have that, and they always want to try and correct that.
Oh, I definitely have that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like my tailbone is like
really like a full.
It's like that.
Yeah, that.
From modeling for years and like standing in awkward positions and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. So he had that from bodyboarding because it was like arching up the whole time and just landing on the flats, and it ended up breaking his spine. So his spine's literally broken, but you can rehab it with principles around that. So since I had that upbringing with my dad of like movement, I didn't want to be a physio because it didn't excite me. I was like, I went to him and I never really got good results. And I know there's good things of everyone, but the standard was like sort of average. And it didn't excite me taping people's shoulders, and I liked it, but didn't love it, right? There was no avenue. And then he goes, oh yeah, have you heard of Paul Czech? And I was like, no, I never heard of that. And then he goes, oh yeah, I went through a Czech practitioner years ago, and he fixed my back, and this is why. And he goes, he made me change my diet, made me change, because if you're bloating, right? If your stomach's bloating, if someone's constantly eating bad food, not even eating bad food, just say you got stomach issues, that's your whole abdominal wall shuts off because you can't draw your core in, because when you draw your core in, it pushes on pain basically. It pushes on the colon. And then as it pushes that on, your body won't let that happen, so it makes it descend. So you get people that have that lower abdominals just completely distended. It's not a strength thing, it's like a diet thing. You can't fix someone's back if that doesn't work, basically. Right? You need that to work. That's the core set for the spine. But if you were going to the physio, they're not going to ask you if you're bloating, and they're not going to ask you what your diet's like or whatever it may be. Some people might have a parasite infection that's causing it. Sometimes someone just eats bread 24/7 and then they're just wondering why their back hurts. So he opened that door up for me, and I just said, oh, what's the Czech practitioner route? And I just started studying, and me and my sister and Nick, her partner, we moved to Karratha. I worked in the mines, saved up to pay for my education. Instead of paying for a house or instead of paying for a car, I put it straight into my education, and I just locked in hard. And then for me, I was lucky because it became my passion, and it was really easy for my brain to think about anatomy and whatnot. I know it's my thing. And when it's your thing, because some people can study, but I'm thinking about it, I'm dreaming about it. I'm constantly thinking about the client from last week. I wonder what that could be. So there's like a never-ending curiosity that I know is a head start that no one else can really jump on, because it was my whole life growing up from my father. It's like, you're into chess?
Yeah.
Magnus Carlsen?
Yeah.
I heard him talk about it the other day saying, there's people that are really good studiers. They sit down and they do it all. But I'm thinking about it right now because I don't do all that study, but they can't compete with me because the hours aren't in there. Yeah. And that's the way I feel like with the curiosity of the body. And I'll make things up and try new exercises. I don't go by just one system. But what I've done is just blended in a lot of different things. I've done mentorships under a few different physios, done some stuff with an osteo, my own stuff, and just experimented with bodies, and then just learned a lot. And now I'm sort of creating a system myself to try and just improve the rehab field and inspire people to be more clinical-based thinking and actually experiment with the body instead of just like giving them templates for the shoulder or, templates for the knee. Like, it has to be an assessment. And whenever I assess someone, it's at least 2 hours long because you got to measure their whole body, figure out the way they move, think what's going on. And that's my thing. My thing is definitely the movement and the rehab. And that's what got the eyes on Corrective Culture, was like helping people with pain, little stretches, just an Instagram page. It was just an Instagram page. There was no idea to sell a product or anything like that. It was just to do clients one-on-one. So I made the career change, took off really quick. Like the universe just rewarded me straight away, like basically booked me out straight away. And then I was like, oh, this is my thing. And then Paul in the Czech system, they talk about parasites a lot, right? They're like, oh, this parasites are a common thing. And he's done this for 30 years. And he's like, a lot of people don't realize they have them, but it's a common thing. People travel all the time. They go to these Asian countries. Even if they don't travel, you can get them here, you know, pets, whatever. And he goes, just make sure you put people on these cleanses just to confirm it, or especially if they have any symptoms. So we had the cleanse to the side, and then it was just word of mouth. It was just for clients, and then it was just word of mouth, and then it just started like selling. People just word of mouth started selling. Like all of a sudden, this person had a gut issue for years. They may not have had a parasite, but since it's like a diet protocol where you go back to evolution standard of like cutting out all the things that basically in the last 10,000 years, and just go back to meat, water, veggies, simple eating, cut out the bread and nuts and seeds for a little bit. I'm not against all that stuff, but pull back for a month and then bring it in and see how you feel, because it empowers you when you see how you feel after you eat foods. That's a missing link. I've had girls come in and tell me they can eat gluten because they're not celiac. But when they eat bread, their gut swells up. But they're like, nah, the doctor told me this piece of paper said I can have it. Forgetting that, oh, what do you mean the piece of paper said? Your stomach's blowing up every time you have it. So your body's got this wisdom for everything in life, not even just diet, but like which direction you're meant to go in life, whether this partner's right for you, whether this food's right for you, whether I should go on this trip or that trip. There's this internal dialogue, like the heart being your compass. They say, you know, look with your eyes and ears, but let your heart be your compass. That's pretty well, when I heard that, that's what got me on this path, because I thought of doing this as a job, and I got a buzz in that center heart chakra sort of region where that's like now my North Star. Whenever I get that buzz there, I'm like, oh, I'm meant to go that way. And otherwise sometimes you get a sinking feeling, but your brain's telling you do it, but your heart's telling you one thing.
Yeah.
And usually the heart's right.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so true.
That's how Corrective grew into the supplements and the parasite cleanse, and it just started booming. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about parasites. I love talking about this stuff. It's so gross and disgusting and exciting. But we started seeing, like, if anyone was watching your page about the cleanse, and people were sending in photos of the parasites they were expelling through their buttholes.
That's right.
That's the only way these parasites come out, guys. It's right at the other end. But they send you photos of the parasites. So there are 4 different types of parasites, correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one being my mum on 5th. But there's 4 types of parasites.
Yeah.
So you have the flukes.
Yeah. Which they sort of look like slugs.
Yeah.
They're always these like round, sort of like slug looking ones.
How does it look when it, like, for anyone who's looking?
Okay. So flukes, because now we've had this for years, so we just see the patterns, right? You see the patterns in Australia. What's the most common, right? You see tapeworms here and there, but not as common. You see roundworms here and there. Pinworms you see in kids, but for some, liver flukes seem to be like 8 times out of 10, that's the parasite that comes out of people. I've done the cleanse many times. I've only had parasites once when I got back from Japan. And you get flukes from fish usually, right? So they breed on fish skin, right?
Damn it.
And like you can cut them in half and they multiply and stuff. So flukes are always, there's not one, there's always hundreds. So there's always a lot coming out. So a lady in the Facebook group, we've got a Corrective Culture Cleanse Facebook group for people listening to, you can see all that. But she goes, hundreds of these are coming out of me, hundreds. I'm grinding my teeth at night and I feel like shit, because you always feel like shit when they die. Because it's like a die off, right? And everything they have, you got to expel. So those ones, the common symptoms for those ones is they'll eat your liver, basically. And they eat the bile ducts of the liver. So people will get their gallbladder removed sometimes, and it's that, okay? And like my sister had it too, and then I had it, and getting pain under the right side of like the rib cage there is a common thing, because that's where they all breed, and that's where the liver is too, right? Yeah. So there's a really cool story. This guy from South Africa did it with his girlfriend, and he sent me this huge blog, and he goes, I just want to tell you guys this. He goes, this is the main one I remember. We get it every day, but this is the main one. He goes, me and my partner, I go, she's been feeling really run down like last 2 years, like getting sick. And then she's there in South Africa, so she went to the doctors and they're like, oh, you got sclerosis of the liver. It's like, you got to stop eating and drinking alcohol and whatnot. She's like, I don't do any of that. We're so into fitness. So they're doing all the scans, all the tests, and this won't show up in a test. And even when they get the stool test for parasites tested, they're not always accurate. Yeah. So you can pass the test and possibly still have them. And they didn't test it for that though, because in the common medical system, that's pretty rare. But now I know it's not, because I had it. If I went to a doctor, they wouldn't have seen that. And And he goes, we both did it. And he goes, he didn't even have the symptoms. He goes, hundreds come out of me. And he goes, man, I reckon thousands come out of her. And he goes, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds over the course of 2 weeks. And they were like, she goes, we were scared that like cancer was next. Like she was really just getting it's like they take your life force, right? Chi, whatever you want to call it. You start to just slowly become a weaker being. And they make you crave sugar. They make you grind your teeth. They wake you up between 1 and 3. They can cause joint pain. It almost basically cause any symptom you have. That's the hard thing. It could be anything. It's hard. And it sorted all her issue out. And that was like such a good feeling for me because I was like, oh, all right, this is bigger than we think. And obviously that's in South Africa, but now we've had that so many times here in Australia. And I'm lucky I got rid of him in the first 2 weeks that I had him. And I didn't even know I had him. I just took the herbs when I got back from Japan thinking, let's just be safe. 2 hours later, took a video of it. This slug come out of me, right? Oh. Yeah. And it was so when they're freshly dead, like if they just die, it'll be thick like a slug. It'll look like a slug. And they'll usually have a little hook on the end. And that hook they used to bury into the liver. When they've been dead for a while, they look like rolled up tomato skins. So they get thinner and they look like rolled up leaves. But then you're like, the person's like, I haven't eaten tomatoes for whatever. And not 120 of them, you know?
So can you like really notice it?
Yeah.
What are they? How big are they? Are they like the size of a bull ant or like
probably about the size of my thumbnail.
Okay.
So pretty big. Yeah. Jeez. And like a bit longer though. Yeah. And one's come out alive. Like my admin girl, her dad did it. One came out alive out of him. Right. And this is what I mean. Like this could be creating so many symptoms because the way you got to think about with healing from anything and stress is like your body summates stress. So whatever your genetic weakness is, could be bowel, could be neck, could be whatever, some sort of illness that maybe is in your bloodline. Whenever you add stress to the system, that genetic weakness can show itself. So that stress could be a parasite. That stress could be fighting with your missus. That stress could be 4 hours of sleep instead of 8 hours of sleep. Either way, they're all just stresses. And one person that has the parasite infection that has pretty good foundations, they may be fine. But the same person that has the parasite infection, while also maybe is managing 3 kids, tired all night, like poor food, alcohol, cigarettes, they're all just stresses. And then they're going to go down a rabbit hole chasing, okay, I got this disease. Now what do I do for that? What herb I'm meant to take? Instead of thinking from a holistic perspective, because there's so much truth in it that that stuff goes away and it heals itself a lot of the time if you can reduce the stress in your system. So you look at your life, like, where are my biggest stresses? Like, where am I out of balance in regards to evolution? Like as you know, if you sleep 4 hours instead of 8, your next day is a write-off. You know, it's like your energy, you're not as happy. Like you're tired, you're obviously tired, but you might be snappier. Like everything changes, you know, and then you get run down, you get sick, and then you eat bad food, and then it just summates. So it's such a really good way to think about how to heal from anything. Like if I had cancer, that's the way I would think. I was like, where can I reduce my stress as much as possible? And then where can I cultivate energy from sleep, good food, meditation, all the things. But the parasites are a big one because basically they will enter a system if they can survive in it. When I took the herbs, they came out within 2 hours. They couldn't survive in me anyway. They probably would have came out if I didn't take anything. Compared to some people need to take those herbs for 2 weeks before they see them come out. Right? Because there's so much sugar in their system and they all eat sugar.
So 2 questions on that. Like, where do they come from? Obviously, we're not just eating this like slug. It's like, oh, let's eat that. Like, where do they come from? And out of every 10 people you see, how many people have parasites?
So raw fish is a big one. Okay, so
that kills me because that's all I eat.
Are they like microscopic at the time, and then they grow inside you to that? So, okay, right.
Yeah, they grow quickly. Yeah. But some people have also sent videos where they've eaten, like seen it like actual, like you can see it with your eyes, you know, like pinworms and stuff like that. So you eat them generally, if you cook the fish, they'll die, right? But, you know, we all love sushi. You know, a lot of the sushi you're going to get at the shops is all farmed. Farm fish is full of it. It's so different to a wild caught, like sockeye salmon, like that red dark compared to like the pink, dyed pink, you know? But even these days, like I got mates that go fishing, just good, clean fish off here, and they've had parasites in some of the fish. So that is apparently changing in the ocean system. I don't know why. I don't know the health of the ocean itself, but apparently it's something like that. But the way I was taught is that Mother Nature's decomposes. So when you don't live by the rules of the garden, which is our vessel, and you weaken your system, that's when they can enter you, right? Some people may get infected with that same sushi, but just be so on top of all their stuff that the body will just sort itself out. But the same people that are weakened, which is a lot of people, like, you know, I've seen so many like mums that are just so depleted, you know, where the Western world for that isn't the way it is meant to be. There's meant to be tribes. There's meant to be 10 women and the tribe all helping each other, not one lady raising 3 kids while the dad maybe has to go to the mines or something.
Yeah.
And like, that's
It's
not natural.
It's like super common in Thailand. Hey, that's a very like when a female, because they're the only people who can give birth. When they like give birth, and before all the females, they all gather around and they do everything. They do the cooking. They do the
Really?
cleaning. Yeah, that's a very common thing in Thailand. Yeah.
Man, I talk
Philippine-
about like
Philippine
making
dogs.
that modern. If you're gonna have a family, like you should get all the crew to buy a house in the street. The modern version of that. Have your own house, you know, but have the community garden in the middle, you know, and then you got support from other mothers and fathers around, so it's
Yeah.
not isolated all the time. Because I have a dog and I'm just struggling to keep her alive, you know. So it's like she has a good life, by the way. My dog's got a great
She
life.
does.
But
Yeah, there's a lot of single married mums out there.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
Like almost, I look at a lot of my circle and almost most of them do end up breaking up because the stress of it, especially if the guy's not on top of his stuff. Like she's got to do all this and he's going to, you know, maybe he has to go to work, but then he comes back and does nothing. Or she has to go to work too. That's imagine having to go to work, give birth, and then come back and do all the other stuff. Like you would burn out. And there's all this thyroid stuff. There's this adrenal burnout, everyone, you know?
No,
So-
thank you. Not for me.
So
no
out
thanks.
of 10 people that
yeah.
you see, how many would you say,
I'd say-
shit and slugs?
Some people, it's not the answer to everything, right? So I'd say maybe 3, probably 3 out of 10. What do you reckon, Ran? About 3 out of 10? Some people think it's like everyone's got parasites. I don't think that's the case, but I'd say about 3 out of 10. And I had a guy that was seeing me for a cervical disc bulge, and I just put people on it because it really, a lot of the time, they'll reduce their inflammation because they're going to cut out all the shit while they do the cleanse. It's not the herbs. Basically, this is the cleanse for people wanting to know. You got to starve them of sugar. They eat sugar. They all only eat sugar. And you forget how much sugar is in the life, back to evolution as a standard. An apple today is this big. Remember, apples are really like that big in the wild that we evolved with. So you're going to even get 4 times the amount of sugar in an apple. I'm not against apples, right? But you're having the apple, then you're having the toast. People forget bread turns into sugar. Then they're having the sugar, the chocolate, you know, the coffee hazelnut latte with 3. Like, this is all unnatural. Sometimes people forget, like, I had a mate that had a 1.25 litre bottle of Pepsi the other day. And I was like, oh, I realize you have about my 2 weeks worth of sugar in that one bottle, you know? And you think it, when you see it like that, it's like, there's got to be a cost for that. And then they will come into the system like, oh, we'll help you eat that sugar. It's plenty of the environment. It's like anything, right? It's like the environment changes and it all just adapts to the environment. So when they're going to eat a lot of sugar, parasites, it's like an invitation for the parasites. Like, oh, there's plenty of food to go around. We'll help you take it out of your system and take it for you. But eventually they start to eat you, deteriorate your life force energy. And this has been around for thousands of years. Like the Chinese have known this. Like it's a common thing, but the Western medicine is definitely lacking. But I think it's people are talking about it more now. And it's hard when, you know, when we got this Facebook group and we get sent photos every day. And I had one recently, this guy would cough till he'd vomit. So he'd cough till he'd vomit, right? And he goes, he did it and then just completely went away. So that would have been a fungal thing on the lungs because it's fungus and parasites. They're not always big things in your body. It's also like microscopic fungal candida. That's all in the one thing.
Where does fungus come from that forms in your body?
So it's all candida, right? And you can get it.
Hang on for the slower people, which is?
So candida is like a fungus, right? It's a growth. When we talk about the gut health, the microbiome, it's just the balance. And it's just when an imbalance has happened from one thing that we don't want for this. Sugar feeds the ones we usually don't want too much. If there's too much sugar, they got heaps of food. So let's all make a community here, right? And eventually it deteriorates your body. You'll see people, common one is like they'll get pimples on their face that they can't pop. Like that's a common one for like even tapeworms and whatnot. Also, like just their feet is just like the skin is like just falling off their feet. You know, there's people where it's like they think it's from like wearing thongs all the time, but that's fungus, right? Dandruff, like intense dandruff they can't get rid of, that's fungus. The white coating on the tongue all the time, that's fungus. So candida and parasites, think of it as all just one big thing. They all need sugar. They all need sugar, and they all need a suppressed immune system because they'll hide from your immune system in the mucus they create. So there'll be a lot of mucus that comes out also. And the mucus also gets created from food intolerances. So your body will have a mucus response when you have something you're intolerant to. If I have milk, I'll get a subtle nasaliness. It's very subtle. I'm aware of it now. It doesn't make me sick. It doesn't make me lactose intolerant to my stomach, but that's a little mucus layer there. And they hide in that stuff. It's crazy. They hide in that stuff from your immune system. So the mucus usually comes out with them a lot of the time. So whenever you have the stuff, you need to starve it of sugar. That's all sugar. That's rice, that's fruit, that's everything. And then bring in some stuff that kills it, a bit of oregano oil, a bit of wormwood, black walnut. And this is the little stuff that sort of kills them while supporting your immune system with good food, good nutrient-dense food, and letting your intuition guide you to what nutrient-dense food your body's asking for, whether that's whatever protein. Every day I think about what protein I'm eating. Every day I think about what plant matter I want. And I connect and I get that heart feeling, that buzz I talked about earlier. Oh, I want chicken. Oh, I want fish. Do I want white fish? Do I want red fish? Oh, do I want duck, chicken, turkey? And rotate that stuff as much as possible. And you'll find that by the end of the week, you want the first one again. And this is how you don't get intolerant to foods, because if you eat the same thing over and over again, your body becomes intolerant to it. The most common food intolerance in China is like rice, you know? So you need nature, back to evolution again. There's seasons for a reason. You don't get the same animal every day. You don't get the same vegetable every day. You have to rotate things. And that's how you don't get the defense mechanisms of that plant too much or that animal too much. So you're tuning into the podcast and you're thinking about the Parasite Cleanse. To do that, you're just going to go on correctiveculture.com. We've made a discount code for all the listeners, which is InRealLife10. That's 10% off everything in store. That's all supplements, our posture program, the Parasite Cleanse, and the PDF. So if you have any questions, you can DM Corrective Culture through our Instagram page and we can help you out. It's like people are scared of spinach these days, but I know spinach is good for me, but if I had it 20 days in a row, it probably wouldn't be. Yeah. You know? So it's as simple as that.
Do you think that because this is your work and your life and clearly passionate about it, do you think that you're obviously more in tune with what you think that you need and you know you need? Whereas I kind of think the everyday person, I put myself in that category, I just get a craving for something and it's generally shit.
Yeah.
Like it's not, oh, I really crave a nice steak right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you just more in tune with that because your body is cleansed, clean, aligned, whereas maybe someone like me, not so much. So maybe I'm getting false signals, or
Ross is like, "Ooh, let's have a sweet treat. I want a sweet treat tonight, every night."
Craving Cadbury? Yeah, my body's really like yearning for some Cadbury right now. Caramello.
But I would highly doubt that someone who's not health conscious and they've got all these like ailments and challenges or whatever, that they're sitting there thinking, "Oh, I could really go for some good quality chicken."
Yeah,
you know, they're thinking of a chicken burger.
Yeah, and like you said, you got to get to a foundational, like you just start on good food. You just start on good food and you practice. So it becomes practice and you get better and better and better at it. But you have to, say if someone had a parasite infection, they're going to crave sugar. They're going to crave all the time. They're going to crave sugar. And when they die, they crave them intensely. Like it makes it all worse. So if you've done the cleanse, or say even if you haven't done the cleanse and you don't think you have parasites, but you start bringing in just more nutrient-dense foods. And remember, when you eat a food, there's information in that food. So it's not just fats, proteins, and carbs. There's so much more of it. It's the structure. Stuff that we can't even quantify yet. It's all grown under universal starlight rays from Venus is over there. You can go deep with it. But it's magic. It's that structure and that combination. The vitamin C, synthetic vitamin C, isn't the same as an apple. Okay? So there's that combination is important, but that combination gives your body information. So when you rotate foods and you try lots of different foods, like I'm always telling people to try new things. When I go to the grocery store, I almost look at it all and my soul buzz, that heart will tell me, get that. Or even just get lots of different colors. But when you eat that food, then your body almost remembers it. And then you can crave that at a later date. And that craving will represent something it needs in that food. And the sharpness comes from, okay, I crave salt and vinegar chips. Do I crave salt? Do I crave maybe some potato? You crave red meat. Okay, your body is probably craving iron, right? So you crave iron and B12. You crave, say zinc. That's when I'll have, or you won't crave zinc, right? You'll crave like maybe some seafood. So I'll have oysters. But then sometimes like, what seafood do I want? Do I want the white fish or the red fish? I know the red fish is more nutrient dense, but I don't care because my body's craving the white fish. So it needs that combination. So I'm not just going all just down the nutrient dense path. Basically, the diet I follow is like I'm going nutrient dense foods that my body wants and can digest for me, and that changes on a day-to-day basis upon my needs. If I go lift weights, I crave red meat, I crave flesh. If I jump on the plane to Europe, I didn't move my body. Give me a salad. I don't feel like I need meat, or give me a cup of bone broth or something. There's the body's communicating with us at all the time. When I need to go to the toilet, it's saying get up and go to the toilet. Don't sit there and play Fortnite for the next 2 hours. It wants me to do that now, you know? It wants, when you're thirsty, you're thirsty. Like there's an insane communication that's there, that it's about getting out of the child archetype and it's because we look at the doctors and the specialists which use that information, but look at them like they're a mother or a father to us, instead of we have this inner guidance. And so many people have been down the rabbit hole in the system. Like I said, if Jake went to that first surgeon, that first physio, whatever, he'd have a few spine, cook back, you know? So this happens all the time.
So what does your cleanse entail, and how long do you stick to the cleanse for?
28 days.
So
yeah, but like,
so basically,
explain why 28 days.
so
like,
it's
why are we doing
it's a
28
full
days?
moon cycle, right? So how weird is it they breed on the full moon? Isn't that amazing?
What's
You know?
that?
Oh, all parasites, they'll breed on the full moon.
Really?
That's disgusting.
Yeah, what like I don't even know why, really, you know, but they do. Isn't that amazing? So basically, you want to get their full life cycle, which will be about a 4-week life cycle, okay, before the next one comes along. So what happens is, this is how cleanses have been done for years too, is you take all the herbs and stuff and you'll kill all the living ones there. That doesn't kill the eggs usually, okay? So the eggs will stay dormant in there, and the eggs is like that alien right there. When something walks by, that egg can hatch, right? So when sugar comes back into the system, there's like the body, those eggs somehow know that, oh, okay, we can survive here. Let's hatch and open. So you do 4 weeks. If you see something come out, you know you got them, right? So then you have a week off. So you do 4 weeks, you cut out all the sugar, you cut out below ground veggies, so anything starchy, right? You're allowed pumpkin, but it's not like sweet potato or potato. Usually I'm fine with that, but just while you're cleansing, just to starve them. You cut out all fruit, all sugar, all artificial stuff. So even if that doesn't feed parasites, you're just not going to do anything that disrupts your gut in general. So no synthetic, you know, no whey powders, no just real food, salad, meat, veggies, and all spray free. Water, no chemicals in it. You know, we're made of water. If someone's drinking shitty water for 40 years, that's that. And every time you drink that water, your body has to get rid of that chlorine, those heavy metals.
Yeah.
Back to that stressing the system. There's a bit of stress that then you can de-stress, that now your liver doesn't have to do that, and it can deal with the cancer, whatever it's dealing with, right? But you starve it, and then you bring in the herbs. You do it for 4 weeks. And the last week you cut out the herbs, you're just eating the food. And then you have a week off and you have sugar again. When I say sugar, have some, don't take the piss, but you know, do whatever you need to do. So, because when you have the sugar in the fruit, that's when the eggs hatch. And it does happen like this. It's clockwork. I've seen it happen so many times. All the parasites stop coming out. 2 weeks, they're all coming out of them. Then they stop and they think they're good. They have their week off. They get on the herbs and they come out again. So that's that egg cycle. So you need to hit them again before they have time to breed and create more. And I have seen before with liver flukes where it's just been month after month where they just keep coming out. And that's when you refer out and they've got to have a deeper look at like really making the environment not habitable for them. So that's where you bring in like the kefirs and the cultures and the basically those probiotic rich foods that compete with the parasites and then candida for the food. Because that's why that's good. They compete for the food for that.
Yeah.
So
So they're like fight like the alien and predator. They're like fighting each other.
They're fighting each other. Yeah, exactly. Until one wins, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so many symptoms. Like I've just seen the craziest symptoms go away for people where sometimes they didn't even have the parasite, but they just cut out these foods that they didn't realize was inflaming them. Like some people don't realize the almonds they're having every day is making their stomach hurt, you know? And because remember that for evolution, you soak those almonds. Every tribe from one end of the world to the other end of the world, if they had these nuts, they soaked them. They didn't talk to each other, but they figured that out from, you know how they figured that out? They ate it. Ow, my stomach hurts. Let's change that, or let's not eat that anymore. People don't do that anymore because you eat something, you're on the phone, you're at work, oh, my stomach hurts. No self-reflection of why that hurts. And it's insane how much you can learn about your body when you just start doing that. And you do it with the easy things first. When I talk about, do I feel like chicken or fish today? Whatever, you think about those things. Do I feel like that kombucha or that kombucha? And then you use it to the bigger things. Do I want to quit my job and start this new thing? Do I want to marry this person? Do I want to, you know, big things? Because there's like a soul path we all have, I feel like. There's like this path we're on and there's this soul path. And at any stage you can tap into that soul path, which is like our true path. And that heart compass always tells you when it's that way. And sometimes it's harder in the short term and better in the long term, you know, because how many people, I think about a lot of relationships where I'm like, they're going to break up You know, they're fighting. The universe is trying to make it happen, and the universe will eventually get you there, and it will make it so intense eventually where the pain teacher will show up and say, all right, now we'll force you apart, or whatever it may be.
So are you saying is that preordained for all of us, do you think? Or do you think there's a path, but then there's also
free will,
some influence as well?
Yeah. So I believe that there's a preordained path. I do believe that. I also believe there's an optimal thing, right? But there's also free will. I spoke to a lot of people about this, but we always have free will. But at any stage, you can ask for guidance, and that's in here. Because Jake and I speak about this. There's like a knowing we all have. You know, the knowing where it's like, I know that's right. I know I'm not meant to do that. I know I'm meant to do that. Like, what even is that? I don't even know, you know? But there's a depth of knowing that's there. And another way you can get into that psyche sometimes is if you imagine having a kid, right? What advice would you give to that? What advice would you give?
Can you give me another example?
No. You know? Another way is the king or queen archetype. What would a king do, or what would a queen do in this situation? Okay, so you can reflect to like the situation in front of you. What would a king do? What would a queen do? And that's why we got a couple of products, king and queen, which is king is liver and testicles for men. Queen is liver and fallopian tubes and uterine tissue, which is just whole food parts from the cow. But that's a mindset, which is a trick you can do to say, what's the optimal decision right now, and not react in a non-optimal way that creates pain in your life. And obviously other ways saying, you know, someone cuts you off in traffic and you're blowing up and try to get out and slam his head into the steering wheel. That's obviously not right. You can get carried away and do something like that, but then you can pause and say, what would a king do? What would a queen do? What's right? What's right for not just me? And I think this is good because it makes you think about the tribe. The tribe is the world in that situation, right? What's right for me, my family, my tribe, everything, not just let my reaction happen, you know? So yeah, I do believe there's that soul path, and I believe at any stage you can tap into that inner guidance, which is a bit of meditation, and go that way. And there's so many meditation techniques. And what we're getting into now, you know, there's so many like Qigong and Tai Chi and 4 in, 4 out. But I think what's really good is just sitting there and watching your thoughts, which is cliche and it's the basic one, but it's simple. Sitting there and just not doing nothing, just watching your thoughts. And eventually you can get to a point of stillness, and then you can ask a question, and then usually you'll get an answer, and the answer may be a feeling or an image or something. But usually for me, I get a buzzing in the heart. And another thing that you can do for your listeners listening, if you ever want to wonder, like a drill to try and connect to your soul, is you breathe first, you slow down, you breathe and you say, what does it feel like? Dear soul, what does it feel like when you say yes to me? Or dear soul, what does it feel like when you say no to me? And get used to that feeling, because that feeling is usually right. And it has been right for us with business and everything. Like, do we want to go this way or that way? And that's what I did with Corrective, man. Like, I could have stayed scaffolding. We got a gig in the mines. Like, that's good money, you know, but I'm like, I'm not meant to do. I'm meant to go this way. And when you find your thing, like, I know it's my thing. I don't think it. I know it. I know I'm good at what I do in regards to the body. So it feels so good to wake up every day and love what you do. And it's like a gift, and you guys do it too, but it's like you can see when someone's got that and when someone doesn't. And that's what you want to help get to people, because everything else comes off that, you know? Everything else comes off when you know you're going that way. It's just life's good, you know?
Yeah. So Ross and I are actually going to do the cleanse.
Sick. All right.
And we're going to commit to it for 28 days.
Beautiful.
And be each other's cheerleaders, because I know how hard it's going to be. Because I like having like a mochi at night. Mm-hmm. You know, there's
what's a mochi?
It's like the ice cream
It's like ice cream wrapped in Play-Doh.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Okay.
It's nice. Like a I don't even know how to. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it's vegan. It's a nice But I have one like almost every night. I like one before I go to bed.
Yeah, just
I know
one.
that's really
You just have
bad
one.
and naughty, but
You
and
just
then
have one, don't you?
well, when I'm trying to be
one packet
good,
of 6.
yeah,
80-20, you know?
yeah,
I have that sort of stuff.
exactly, 80-20. So we're actually going to be doing that, and we're going to come back and do a podcast episode
That'd be so
on
good.
the good, the bad and the ugly
Yeah, do you wanna
shit that
come-
comes
yeah,
out
do
of
you
our
wanna-
bodies.
Yeah.
We'll bring in all of our slugs.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, we're
Take
just we're
photos.
going
Yeah,
to
no,
bring
we
in a
will.
demonstration
Yes.
and
I'm
put
gonna
it on the
I'm
table.
going to set up a fucking GoPro in the toilet.
So a lot of people always ask this. They say, how do you find out if there's like, are people putting sieves through their shit? And you don't do that. You just look. If you can see it, like, well, for me, I looked and I got tweezers. I looked and I was like, what the fuck is that? I looked and I was like, I was actually a little bit in shock. I was like, what the fuck is that thing?
Ross,
and then,
please leave my
This
tweezers.
just came out of my butthole.
and then- yeah, and I
Please
was
leave my tweezers at home alone. Please do not touch my tweezers.
And I was reflecting and I was like, okay, did I eat? And I was like, no, there's nothing I've eaten in the last even like 3 days that could be that. And then I pulled it out and then there was a gel sac, like a mucus sac. And then I was like, what is that? And I opened the mucus sac up and there was like an egg in it, like a little white egg. The egg looks like a sesame seed. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was hidden in the mucus, right?
Yeah.
So it made its own little, honestly, like
Protective
the alien. Like it was
shell.
crazy like that. Protective shell.
Yeah.
To hide from your body.
Yeah.
And then over the next 3 days, about probably 100 of them come out. I went and got a colonic the next day because I was like, let's just get these out of me. And I watched
Flush it
them
out.
all just come out in the colonic. And then even after the colonic, they kept coming out. So there was a lot. And that was only within a 2 to 4 week probably infestation of me. So imagine the people that have had them for years and years and years and years because they're out there. I've had people with tapeworms this big.
I watched a TikTok of a girl doing a colonic and there was a tapeworm, like this long tapeworm that was in her body. I'm like, how could you not feel that alien sitting inside of you?
And you know tapeworms are territorial. So one will stay at one side of the
Yeah,
colon.
they're like other parts of the
don't mess up
colon
with
or
each
like
other.
the intestines.
Yeah, through there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
one will stay at that side, one will stay at that side, and they won't mess with each other. And I guess the one that gets the food first must be the big dog because he's like,
Yeah.
you can have my scraps, you know?
Yeah.
And they'll make a common one for them is sweaty hands. So
And weight loss, right?
weight loss.
Yeah.
Because
they're absorbing your food.
All the parasites can cause iron deficiency because they eat.
Yeah.
They literally, there's like hookworms that burrow, like cut through the villi in the gut wall, which is the intestinal barrier, and they'll consume, like suck your blood out and consume the iron, right? And when they come out, usually blood is with them. So that's come out heaps, but yeah, they'll consume your nutrients slowly. Yeah. So you eat food, you're getting less than what you get. And you know, that's a 2% deficit, but if that's every time you eat food and you're getting sick from what they excrete in you because they're taking shits in you, then your body has to deal with that. And it's just more load on your detox system. So you make sure when people do the cleanse, like some people, the people that are like really like addicted to sugar, it's a big thing for them. Some people will vomit, get headaches. I get nothing. You know, I eat pretty similar to this way all the time. But some people, it's like a really intense thing. But even with the parasites, it changes your way of, like, it's nice to feel what 4 weeks of perfect feels like.
Yeah.
You know, like true perfect. Like not even the piece of bread at the smash dabo in the morning. All your food is spray free, like organic or spray free. All your meat is like grass fed, grass finished, not grain fed meat because that inflames you. And you feel that. And then what you do is once you bring that stuff back in, you feel it. And that's an awareness that you'll never forget. Like the milk, I didn't know that until I cut it out for 4 weeks and I had it. And I'm like, oh, I realize every time I have milk, it makes me nasally. That gone on for 20 years, who knows what that is? An autoimmune issue or some sort of reaction it's like a scratch in the gut that eventually it pierces through and you become, then the food passes through, then that food travels through the body and all of a sudden you get an intolerance to foods that you shouldn't be intolerant to because that passes through the gut wall. And it's just this vicious cycle and you can go down chasing symptoms and testing and stuff. I'm not against that. I'm huge on using all that. But as we know, you go to one naturopath and the other, they're going to tell you different things. So you always got to have that inner guidance too of what's right. Because one doctor, one physio, one nutritionist, one dietitian, one says this, one says that. So who's right? You know, and what's right is the truth, and the truth is what works.
Do you think like everyone in this climate that we're currently in with the food that we're exposed to, pesticides, like all of that rubbish, do you think it's worth everyone doing this cleanse? And how many times should we do it? Once a year? Should we do it once every 6 months?
So I follow Paul's. Paul's done it once every 6 months for like 30 years, right? So I do it every 6 months. And for me, it's nice because you save money, you're cooking all your meals, you glow up, your skin looks really good by the end of it. You're eating nutrient-dense food, you're having bone broth and collagen. And so it's always going to be a win, right? But there is definitely some people that have like some severe IBS or gut issues where if they chuck in a heap of antimicrobials, they could get worse. So those are the people that probably want to go through the guidance of a practitioner. At the same time, I've had some of those people do it and they feel a million times better because some people are afraid of taking some herbs and that, which, you know, everyone's different, but they're not afraid of eating E44, 244 every night in there, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Where's red grow? You know, they're eating red. Where does red grow? You know, like
Yeah.
all
Insects.
Insects. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I was at a cafe this morning, I grabbed a coffee, and there was this donut with like pink frosting on it. I was like, how the fuck do they even make that? And like, you got to know
yeah.
that's not grown anywhere.
Yeah,
Someone
well-
didn't grind up.
Well, that's
like,
an awareness, man, that thought even came to your head.
Yeah.
That's not common, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what I mean. You learn, you slowly, you only get better at it. You only get better. Every time I do it, it gets easier, and I learn more. I've had people where cauliflower was poisoning them. Whatever the reason, their evolution, their ancestry, just cauliflower wasn't good for them. So they figured that out. Every time she had cauliflower, her gut would seize up, right? And she'd want to spew. That's happened a long time, but she didn't realize it was cauliflower. So
Yeah.
because you're so reduced to like foods, you get to know, okay, can I handle this? Because one man's food is another man's poison. Can
Yeah.
I handle this or can I not handle that? And there's no diet, like I said, just nutrient-dense foods that you can digest. And the rule is I just care that it's grown, killed, just come from the earth. Use the sups here and there where you can, but I just notice like I don't feel great and I don't think we should have these things all the time because there's always a little cost. You know, you have some people have NAC, but then the zinc, it depletes their zinc, and then they're having like iron, but it depletes this, and then they're tight with this, and all of a sudden you're having 4 supplements. I'm like, fuck, if you just ate the apple, you got them all there anyway, and you wouldn't have all these reactions. You
Yeah.
know, whatever it may be. So food is medicine. Food is medicine. I've seen some crazy stuff with that.
And it's interesting that it's really refreshing and nice to hear that it's not just about the like the body, you know, the stuff that you put in or your movements. It is like you can hear it in everything you've been saying. It's where your head's at as well. And I think if you've got the ability and you are listening to this, or you've got a phone in your hand, you've got the ability to ask questions, which means you've got the ability to probably be with yourself, and then maybe that sort of truth comes to you.
Yeah, you're
but
right.
if you don't have, you know, maybe you're not exposed to that.
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of people are maybe stuck in a way where they need a nudge from like an external, like life happens to us or for us, whatever you want to call it, but you know, like your story, these little events led up to these things, and maybe some people just won't have those events that will make them more aware of that, you know, the pink icing sugar, maybe like having that thought cross your mind. It does take the ability to think.
Yeah.
So how, you know, how do people who is almost like stuck in that, they're driving a truck or they're a nail technician and they're breathing in fumes, or one of the girls at your hairdresser place, you know, they're in their grind. Where's that? Where can that nudge come from?
Yeah, I think it's just education, and it comes from doing like sort of what you guys do, what we do, just like letting your soul, the things you follow, right? Like you watch people that are doing what you want. So I'm not gonna, like, if someone's super healthy, I'm gonna look at their life and say, what are they doing? Instead of studying the sickness, study the person that doesn't have the sickness almost, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, if I think about early days as a young man when I was getting into health, I was like, what shop do I go to? What do I cook? How do I even cook a steak properly, or whatever it may be? So you look at people that are, like for me, like content, other people inspire me, you know? So like our Corrective Culture page, I'm constantly putting out cooking stuff, constantly putting out, oh, this is how you eat organic. This is how it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg. You don't have to get eye fillet, get the chuck steak and do slow cooks, you know? So that just awareness and just filling your brain with the right stuff. So like, my opinion is following pages, because that's what it's more than that. That's TV these days, right? Your phone. So following pages from people that inspire you, and then just replicating the parts of them that you want. It's like, you know, Gabor Mate? Do you know Gabor Mate, Dr. Gabor Mate? He wrote,
No.
is it Your Body's Many Cries? I forget now. You would have seen him pop up anyway. I'll send you something. But he goes, life's just about speaking your truth. And you'll find people that are speaking the truth on the internet. And he goes, and as soon as you hear a truth that resonates more than your truth, then you can drop your truth and obtain their truth. And that's what evolution is in me. That's like you listen to it all, you speak your truth. And it could be wrong, but it's still your truth. I've noticed that people that do well content-wise and social media, you may hate what they're saying, but they're speaking their truth. You know, you may disagree completely with what they're saying, but they believe it, and therefore there's an attraction to it for some reason, right? But if you hear a truth that resonates with you. So for me, it was a Paul Chek video. And if you go on YouTube, you can watch this, and it was type in Paul Chek Parasites. And it was such a good video, and I could almost say it word for word. But he goes, parasites are Mother Nature's decomposers. And this is like my heart told me, oh, lean into this. And it changed my whole life when I did, right? When I followed his principles. Sounds like a cult, but we'll get into that. And basically he goes, when you don't live by the rules of the garden, they'll come in and they'll consume you, right? And they'll bring you back into the soil. And then your life force will go back into the next plant and keep the earth going, right? But people will save $1 on a bag of carrots like they're shopping for fuel for their body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They drive around in a $100,000 car, but they're going to try and save whatever, $20 at the end of the week, forgetting, and this is sometimes it's hard, but you got to say it like this, forgetting that your vessel is it. Like some people don't actually think about that. That is it. That is your experience in this incarnation. Your vessel is the way you experience you driving that car, traveling, all that sort of stuff. I remember I got an ingrown toenail once and I thought, I was looking at it and it was so annoying. I was like, I would give everything I'd own. If someone told me I had this for the rest of my life, I'd probably kill my next door neighbor and sell everything to get rid of that ingrown toenail. You know what I mean? Like that's how much health, when health is gone, it's that quote we used to have at the start of the cleanser that sooner or later your health will be your number one concern.
Yeah.
And there's power in that of knowing, make it sooner before it has to be later. Because there's a mentor's client, he had cancer, tumors all through his liver and his stomach. And he was like a full business multimillionaire, just like that dude, but he wasn't into health. And then he just needed to be shown, oh, this is how you've sort of created this. Basically, it's not blame, but it's like, where are my choices not align with me getting this, you know? And he was just underslept, overworked, eating bad food, everything. So he just reduced all the top, like when I talk about the physiological load, he reduced it. He cut hours back at work. He started sleeping, which is the number one way you can cultivate energy, right? Is sleep. Changed all his food to organic, started training, and 6 of his tumors disappeared. Now there's 2 left and they've been dormant, and that's 6 years ago, and he's fine. He's 60 something years old, hasn't have to go through cancer. You know, he's still got those 2 tumors there, but there's no symptoms in his life. And he didn't go through that medical route. He just did that. And I'm not saying that's the answer to everyone, right? But I'm saying I would definitely use that also, and don't just rely on whatever the drug or the incision is going to be. You have to reduce the stress in your body and cultivate energy and look at it through the eyes of foundation principles of evolution. There's 6 foundation principles we run with, and I reckon it's just a good people for listen to of where you may be out of balance, and use yin yang as the like too much or too little as your concept. So you look at thinking firstly, like where's your thoughts at, and bring an awareness to those thoughts. So that's where you do those awareness meditations, because you'll have thoughts that will come up and you're like, whoa, if I let that carry away, that'll literally change my hormones. That'll change my chemicals. I can feel it changing stuff, make me angry or make me whatever. And that can change your whole reality. That can change your decisions, right? So thinking's huge, which basically brings a bit of meditation to your life. But then some people that go too far that way and they're just in their mind and not doing anything with the body, right? And then you look at drinking, so that's water. And then people sometimes underestimate like, oh, water is every joint in your body is hydrostatic pressure. So your disc is all water. Every disc in your spine is water. So when you're dehydrated, and they've shown this, disc height drops. So maybe your neck, maybe your lumbar spine, disc height drops. So you imagine every disc has to have tension. And when that tension is full, the ligaments have tension. So then you're not getting shear at the segments, right? So then basically dehydration could be the cause of their back pain. I got a mate that his neck pain only comes on when he's dehydrated. I had another mate that was cutting weight for a fight and blew his disc in his neck while he slept that night because he was like 4 kilos dehydrated weight and couldn't weigh into the next morning. And that was a really good example of what I learned, because there's no way he did anything that night to blow his disc. It was because he was so severely dehydrated that there must have been so much shear at the joint that it did the disc, right? So we're made of water. So if someone's drinking tap water, and then I know back to that evolution perspective of like thinking of stress, oh, okay, every time that person drinks water, they're drinking chlorine, fluoride, heavy metals, whatever else, shit that wasn't in our water for evolution for millions of years. There's going to be a subtle cost. And it means basically your liver's going to have to detox everything. You might as well help it. It's going to detox the fumes of the cars and shit you can't change. You might as well not let it, it's not all separate, right? Because people sometimes get too evidence-based and say, oh, you're allowed this much of this chemical in this drink before it's toxic. But they're not forgetting that person's doing 50 other little things that add up to one big problem and trying to summate that one chemical or what it does in your body. It's too unquantifiable. And some people get too in their science with this sort of stuff instead of the common sense. So water's huge. Make sure you're on good water. Make sure you got mineral-rich water. Remember, we drank from rivers back to evolution. So there's salt in there. There's a little bit of minerals and salt. It's alive. It's moving. It's not like just fucking chlorine, right? Then you look at breathing. So breathing's so huge. I had a girl recently that had brachial plexus symptoms, which is nerve pain running down the arm because she was breathing in her chest. So breathing, you're taking a breath every day. If you're using these muscles in the neck that aren't meant to be used every time you take a breath, it just, obviously it's going to do something, right? And for her, it was creating the symptoms down here. But that's the pump for your body. That breath is the pump. And when you breathe properly, your diaphragm drops down onto your viscera, which is your organs. They're called viscera because they're viscous, so they can't be compressed. So as the diaphragm compresses them, they'll move forward and it opens up your abdominal wall. But that massages the whole digestive system, which helps with motility. Okay, so motility is just the way the food moves through the body, right? So if someone's breathing different, that's not optimal for that. So they may see you for a gut issue, and that's still one of those, who knows, but could be 5%, could be 10%, could be the whole problem, right? For that girl, the breathing was her whole problem for her neck pain. Okay, so that's a huge thing. So thinking, breathing, and then movement. Okay, so with movement, are you getting too much or too little? Back to the yin yang. Some people overtrain, some people undertrain. My whole thing was overtraining. I'd do MMA and jiu-jitsu and I'd get sick because basically my body told me I was tired. Back to, am I hungry? Am I horny? Am I sleepy? Am I this? My body was saying, oh, I'm tired. And I went and trained. And people, we're in this whole no pain, no gain. People think, oh, it's all fitness, but forgetting that her whole cycle's gone and her periods, she's getting all this pain. But because I had a lot of females with this, and then they're getting up at 4 a.m. to get a workout done when the body's like, just sleep. Like, I need some sleep,
Yeah.
So that's huge. So you look at those three foundations. Then you look at eating. So food, is it yang or yin? Is it just like coffee, sugar, stimulants, carbs, or you got some yin, some rebuilding, some protein, some good mineral-rich foods, because that's huge. Your body's made of that, right? And thinking, breathing, eating, drinking, and sleeping. Have I said 6? Anyway, sleeping is...
Last one we can throw in, having sex.
So, yeah, breathing, thinking, eating, drinking, sleeping. What are we missing here, Nick? While I talk about the sleep, we'll just remember the other one. Oh, we did movement, eh? This is 6 maybe,
Movement, yeah.
So sleeping, think about how important it is if you're underslept and you got an illness. Literally, it's everything. Like you need that 7 to 9 hours, they say, right? I'm like 8. You need that. So if you've got any illness, any symptom, anything going on, these are the foundations that you look at and see where you're out of balance. And a lot of the time you get them on point, which not a lot of people have on point, you just heal. Because what else are you going to do? That is the number one thing to start moving towards,
Yeah.
That's really cool.
What does your future look like for you and Corrective Culture over the next, say, like 5 years?
So
what do you want to achieve?
Okay, this is what I'm working. I'm working on Body Workers University right now, which is just an Instagram page. If you're into that, follow it because it's all just how I work with the body in rehab side. So what I want to do is I want to change the way movement is done in not even just the gym, but also in the rehab field and uplift it. I feel like the standard of like, there's gyms out there doing stuff, which is great, but there's like, it's just a bit random and you could have it could be better. It could be based around that person's structure instead of random, the same thing in the class. So you can really pinpoint stuff with rehab. So I want to teach this way of thinking to a whole gym. I'd love to open a gym. That's what I'd like to do, but then create lots of them because everyone goes to that gym and they're like, all right, this is the culture. We go to the farmer's market or the local organic shop or whatever, instead of spending money here at Woolies all the time with the big companies, right? So that changes the world because people change where they spend their dollar. So if they do that, we can change that and based around posture correction, and because posture tells you the position of the joints. So you're talking about anterior tilt with your butt sticking out, right? So then there's a plan for that. Like you could be in a gym and someone can see that and know, oh, she probably shouldn't really be doing these exercises so much because that's going to make that worse. She should be doing these exercises and finding your weaknesses and training that into a more of a custom way because it can be so much better. And I think that's lacking a lot. And I think the rehab field is lacking a lot in clinical reasoning of just giving people random things or like it's all dried needling or taping instead of like proper programs that someone follows for 3 months where they do this on this day and this on this day. And these are their stretches, these are their tissue releases, and these are their exercises, postural exercises. And postural exercises is long time and attention, not just heavy weights. Posture is just holding tone, right? So you need to hold tone for a long period of time. What everyone's doing when they have rounded upper backs. So a lot of people listening right now, forward shoulders, right? Everyone wants to fix forward shoulders. Everyone doesn't want that hunchback. A lot of females will get the Algis hump on the back of the neck, okay, from this position. That's because the head's forward and the body's down laying tissue there to support it, because they're hanging off the passive system. So whenever your shoulders are rounded and you're all like this, the back will feel tight, but it's taut because it's the insertion origin is stretched out. So you generally feel the muscles that are pulled long, not pulled short, as a common theme, right? But when they go get a massage or stretch their front out, it's going to be tight and painful, but they don't feel it walking around life. They feel their back ache, right? Or the neck or something.
Is that from being on your phone all the time?
Well,
being on a computer?
Yeah, that too.
Well, that's
sitting.
That's an encouraged movement. I mean, that encourages that, right? But also emotions encourage that too. Right?
Emotions encourage it. The movement, sitting, definitely. And really, it's to save energy. So you're hanging off the ligaments, basically. So whenever you're like that, you're just hanging off the passive system. The longer you hang off that, the more lax it gets and the ligaments become lax. So you need to bring postural endurance exercises into the right muscles, which would be the back, but not just like a few rows, like proper. I like to use 3 minutes of time and attention for people listening. So I like a 3-minute burn of a lighter weight, but 3 minutes should be hard. And then when you drop the weight or whatever you're doing, the cable, you feel that in the tissue and you feel it stay there. So don't tell people stand tall with your shoulders back. You train them that way and then they do. Their body starts to change. I've seen the craziest adaptations. So it's huge on that. Posture has to, bad posture generally develops into pain. If someone's got rounded back, they can't put the shoulder above the head. You know, so that's when my shoulder stops. They may see you for a shoulder issue, but you need that thoracic spine, that back to open up. Otherwise, that shoulder will never be optimal. You know, so you just break it down like that. And that's what I want to teach. And I think that's a huge missing link in the field. And I want to teach other practitioners and PTs, whatever, so they can spread it. I don't want to do it all. I just want to teach that way of thinking so people know anatomy a bit better. And I think that's missing. People need to know the anatomy, know what that muscle does, and then know what muscles are long and short on someone if they're standing there and during movement, and then create a full custom plan that person follows at home or in the gym that we provide with organic food, cafe, you know, whatever I want, bit of jiu-jitsu, I don't know, make a playground.
Is it the same for men and women? Because like obviously women have their cycle and things, women need things differently to men. So like the way men would be able to fast is different to women. Yeah.
So, well, the start of it, we say for females, if you're going to do the fast, that's up to them and they can get guidance from that. But the fast is a liquid bone broth fast. They can have liquids for 24 hours. So most people are going to be able to handle 24 hours and it's not a water fast. They're still getting some calories and they're just having a break off eating and they're still eating bone broth, which is sealing to the gut lining, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's optional for the female, right?
24 hours is easy. Yeah. Back in my modeling days, you know.
Yeah, true. For the guys, most guys can handle it pretty good. So I do 3-day bone broth fast where I'll just have bone broth for 3 days. And I think it's just, I mean, think about evolution again. The guys go out hunting. They can handle that. The females are usually at home, back at the thing. There's going to be more food around. They're not having to feed babies and that all the time, so they don't need as much food. So it's like, that's what makes sense to me. And same thing with the movement stuff. It's like evolution is the standard for that because we're meant to rotate. This is what I think is huge actually if we're listening for pain, right? And in gyms. I don't believe there's enough rotational work in gyms. And I used to do CrossFit. It was all sagittal plane, which means forward and back. That's me squatting, deadlifting, pressing, lunging. That's just all forward and back. As a human species, we're walking and we're running. You know, we're the only animal that runs in the transverse plane. This is why we have a computer and we run the world, because we twist in the upper body. That's why we can outrun any animal on Earth. Did you know that? We can outrun a horse over distance.
Yeah.
Any animal on Earth. Humans are the best runners. So, because we can time our stride to our breath. We have hair on the top of our head to protect us from the sun.
Some of us have hair on the head. It's my choice.
We've lost our body hair so we can sweat, right? But we hop. So when we take a stride, when we run forefoot, which when we're running barefoot we do, it's like a little hop, right? A spring, and then our body twists us through. So that's called free energy because it's like a stretch, like an elastic band through our rib cage, and it twists our upper body through. So our legs go forward and back, but our upper body twists. All the other animals have to push against gravity and land. They push against gravity and land. So they're having to fight gravity. So they will fatigue over distance. Yeah, we can time it We know, okay, we can stay at this pace for so long. These other animals will sprint, stop. And that's how we started eating meat, was persistent hunting. Before even tools and that, we'd run down the animal till they die and then we'd eat. And that's how it all begun. And that's not respected now because rotation is what pumps the fluid through the spine. And rotation is what we lose as we age because they're not doing it. And what you'll find when you watch people on Burley Hill here walking is people that don't rotate well, generally in the older generation, but still some young people, is they'll walk, but they'll throw their arms really hard. So, you know, the people that just throw like that, watch next time you see them, their rib cage won't turn. They'll just be arm. So that's their way of generating gait because the rib cage should rotate. And that rotation with correct breathing pumps the fluid up and down the spine to keep it healthy. So I think rotation is massively lacking in the whole rehab field because, you know, we were a single cell organism. We were a jellyfish. That jellyfish, that opening and closing of that motion inside of us, they call that radial contraction. That's our insides. Right. Then we went, this is because we were a jellyfish, right? Amazing, right? Back in the day.
Depending on who you ask.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we were a fish and the fish went frontal plane. So the fish has a spine, so it contracts one side and it side bends. And then that fish then went onto the land, which is a reptile. So that kept side bending. And then that reptile learned how to push off the ground into mammals. And then we went into apes and then we started twisting into humans. So we went through planes of motion. We went through opening and closing, side to side, forward and back until finally we started rotating through. And that's what running is. And that's what, when I grab the cable and I pull it, I'd rarely grab a cable and do it with two arms. I always do it with one because now I'm getting rotation through the obliques. And that makes you feel really strong too. You'll find like you've done jits and MMA before. I find people that aren't training like that, you can just throw them around easier. They're not as strong on the mats. Yeah. And they may look big, but they're not. You can throw them around.
Yeah.
I was just visualizing right here, right now, with Fat Boy Slim, where you were saying that, like, because it had that film clip. I'm pretty sure it's an evolution.
It does, dude. I just
turning
remember
into
that.
man,
Yeah.
and then it turns into this big giant guy. Which, hey, you're going over to America, so there's a lot of people you can help over there.
Well, dude, yeah. So that evolution is a standpoint to use for everything in life. Like when I look at some big Nike shoe that comes out, I'm like, does that make sense with evolution? Is that going to be great for the foot? Probably I'll hold judgment on it. If things that don't make sense with evolution, I hold judgment on it. I don't just accept it. But things that make sense, the sleep, the sunlight, getting grounded, the water, the food, that's all common evolution stuff.
Are these shoes common evolution?
They look good, but maybe we'll adapt if you wear them long enough. Yeah.
So you say common evolution, but is that because, I mean, this is your space? Because again, I think you take the everyday person, and I don't think that they put those things together so much.
No, they don't. Yeah. That's what they listen to me for.
Yeah. And so how do they know then who to listen to? Because, you know, here, misinformation, disinformation, all this stuff out there. It's like, cool, we'll listen to, someone will be listening to you. They'll be like, that's so good. And then they'll go to the PT and the PT will be like, that's stupid, we're doing lat pull downs. So how do you, what would be your encouragement to help people seek out truth other than that reflection, which I think is awesome, but in terms of information, how do you get people to like seek that out?
That's a really good question, and I think that a really good quote is the truth is what works. So always, like when I got into the rehab field, I could have went down the uni path and done a lot of stuff, but I did mentorships because I was like, oh, this lady's really good at fixing these things. She's done this 20 times in a row. She must know something. So then I go to her. I don't go to the person that talks about a lot of it without the results. And I know some people don't showcase the results. You know, I do. I put the photos up of people changing and the testimonials and saying, oh, I had this pain for years and now it's gone. I can't fix everyone either, you know, and I know that. It's just, but I got the curiosity. So
you're saying if Stephen Hawking rocked up in his wheelchair, you wouldn't be able to make him walk? He's just.
How would I approach that? I'd have to work with the neural system, but no, I think that's pushing it, eh? But if you wouldn't go to me if I said I could, right? Yeah. So the people that say they can fix it all are the ones that usually can't. Yeah, I learned that from Diane Lee. I did a mentorship on Diane Lee. She's one of the best female physios in the world. She's amazing at sealing rectus diastasis when a lady gives birth and they got the stomach separation. I went heavy into that with her. That's a huge thing, right? And she goes, you can't fix everyone. And the people that say they are, they're not it, right?
Yeah.
Because someone's perfect for the right person. Back to that heart thing, right? And when you try things, does it work? That the truth is what works. Do I feel good from this or do I not? When I do that exercise, does it help me or does it not? When I do that stretch, does it help me or does it not? You know, it's like I saw a thing on artificial sweeteners the other day about how they're, you know, fully safe. I was like, but I also know that my coach, whenever he has them, my MMA coach, he gets migraines every time. I know so many people that do. I'm not against them at all, But the truth for him, if he listened to the study, he'd be sitting there getting a migraine every day. You know, these people that look for the evidence, everything, a lot of these people would be in the 60s would have said, there's no good evidence smoking causes cancer. What do you mean? Show me the evidence smoking causes cancer. When we know that your lungs are designed for air, you're going to breathe some shit in there. So there's a common sense that we can all really refer to, and nothing makes sense in biology except in the lot of evolution. So that's my reference point, is doesn't make sense with evolution. Does some new product, some synthetic isolate they bring out good, and they're telling me it's better than the meat? They can get creatine, but you can get creatine from beef too. I'm not against all that, but I'm like, I'll hold judgment on it, you know, for all this sort of stuff, and just always use that as the reference point, and use that for health with those foundations.
It's a really cool way to look at things from an evolutionary perspective.
That's all we got, man.
Yeah.
That's
really cool.
What else would you have? You know, like it's we didn't have all those issues years ago. So you look at that. Why didn't they have those issues? Well, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
You know, they weren't eating chemicals and 40 different things by 9 a.m. You know, they're not having like 3 shots coffees and then getting anxiety and then it's bringing their shoulders up and then the neck's hurting, and like there's so many little rabbit holes you can go down. But that's a quote from an evolutionary biologist. Can't say his name's so Russian that I can't even say it. Theodore Blavatsky, something like that. But nothing makes sense in biology except in the light of evolution. So that's what I look at. I look at with movement. I make sure someone can rotate. Every client I get, I test the rotation, because I know, as a human, you got to be able to do that. You know, your leg has to be able to swing forward and back this many degrees if you're going to run down that animal. So I better check that. You know, you got to have some thoracic extensor tone in your back if you want to rotate. So I got to check that. And anything outside of that, I hone in on. And back to those foundation principles, the sleep, water, that. If there's anything out of balance with that, you hone in on. And that's such a big thing to reflect on.
This is awesome. We can
I'm
so
glad.
I'm so glad you're coming back, and I think we need to like, you know, have an assessment as well, and we can record that and then like show and talk about that and share that on screen.
You're gonna have so much fun on my
I'd
shoulders.
love to do that. You got some shoulder stuff going on?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Like right in my
She carries the weight of me.
I do, yes.
In your
Carry
traps?
Yeah, no, like between my shoulder blades.
Between shoulder blades.
That's always like a consistent issue.
Yeah.
And then I think my hips are off slightly.
Like lateral tilt or like forward? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm into
Yeah, and then my pelvis.
yeah.
But we're gonna jump into fast 5 questions.
Yeah, we were trying to finish off with fast 5. Like we could sit there for hours, and it's so cool. Let's plan this follow up.
I love to assess yours. I love it.
I'm not looking forward to it as much, but but if we're going to do it, let's document it. Let's share with people. We might as well, and then we can talk about the results, and we can bring in all of our poop slugs.
Yeah, I could create you both the program to do like at home, just with some basic stuff. You know, you still do all your gym stuff, but this is like, you'll feel it. You'll feel it. Yeah,
it's nice.
Amazing.
He's thinking I do gym stuff.
Although you do randomly go on like a half marathon on a Tuesday afternoon or something. But okay, fast 5. What is your proudest moment being in this space?
I had a little girl that couldn't really walk, and we got her walking. It's actually a really good story. Is this quick answer or like?
You can turn it into
this
whatever
is a really
you
good
want.
story. Yeah. So I used to scaffold, right? And my scaffolding boss, this happened to his daughter. So she got a blood clot in the lumbar spine. So they think they weren't sure. Couldn't walk. She was in a wheelchair for a couple of months. By the end, she could walk, but it looked like cerebral palsy. Like her feet were dragging. And he sent her to the hospital. Big team of like Australian physicians are like, we don't know, because there's no test. They can't say stuff. There's no piece of paper that tells them to quantify it. They don't really, it's the way they think, right? And then I had her in. They told her she had thick blood. And so that's why your blood clot, right? And she had compression at the lumbar spine. And I asked her if she drank water, and she didn't drink water. She drank like a cup every 2 days. So literally, back to the water thing, foundation, thick blood. I just went on Google at the time. Does your blood volume thicken when you're dehydrated? And I'm like, yeah. And then she drank water, and I gave her some rotational stuff and a lot of stuff, and almost just believed in her too, because she was very broken, because they said you may never walk again. 2 weeks later, she like walked in almost back to normal. 2 months later, she's good, you know. But the water was huge for that. And then I did some other stuff, but the water was definitely massive. So that was probably my proudest moment. That was like the best line of MDMA, Coke, whatever you want from what I used to sell ever. When I did that, you know, because you do that stuff, there's a high and a low, right? When you take party drugs. But when you're doing the thing that your soul's meant to do, there's a high, but the low doesn't come. It's like, oh, that's it. So that's a soul communication to me. And that's why I knew, this is what I'm meant to do. And they missed that. And I was like, that's when I knew nothing too. So that was probably my proudest moment where he looked after me, this boss. So it was cool because he helped me take days off work to start this new career. Not many people would do that. And in the end, I helped his daughter.
That's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
was
actually
cool.
such
Cool.
a beautiful story.
We got a video somewhere of the before and after, which
That's
is
so awesome.
This is when I was in the
that's
garage,
amazing.
man. This is before the gym and everything.
Wow.
This is early days when you first remember you came and asked us about Corrective early
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
Yeah, that's when we didn't even sell something then.
Yeah.
It's crazy how quick that grew. You saw it
Yeah.
early on. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
there's going to be something.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Fuck, marry, kill. Steak, salmon, chicken.
Not while
okay.
they're alive.
Okay,
Just
I
eating
would-
wise.
Well, this
Well, am I fucking a cow or a steak? Well, I guess if I'd have to fuck the chicken, right? And then
not okay. Let me clarify. We're not actually talking like in terms of like your relationship. Like marry is something which you could pair together forever.
Yeah.
Fuck is something. Okay, we'll do that once, and then the other one. All right, it's gone. So which one would you like marry?
I would marry the steak
chicken. Yep.
Yeah.
because how could you not?
Yep.
And then just because
You're gonna have
salmon was one of them, wasn't it?
Yep. Salmon or
Salmon
chicken.
is like I want it once in a while. Like yeah, so I would.
Fuck salmon.
What's the other one?
Chicken. You're gonna have to kill.
I'd fuck the salmon. I'd kill the chicken.
Okay.
I love chicken, but you got to have salmon because it's so good for you.
Yeah.
So I got to fuck the salmon once in a while.
We are not endorsing bestiality, by the way. It's a metaphor.
Okay. Favorite prison food?
Hot dogs. Hot dogs. I love them. I'd put cheese and shit all over it. Or my mee goreng and tuna. I'd have mee goreng and tuna like. I'd have 3 packets a day. It was getting out of control. That's why I haven't had it since. But yeah, hot dogs are probably my favorite prison food. Other than that, fuck, it's just slop, you know?
Yeah.
3 people dead or alive that you would do a cleanse with. Not together, but you could do them separately.
Okay.
You'd love to either take you through their cleanse or you would love to do a cleanse with
I'd take them through my cleanse. It'd have to be, I mean, Joe Rogan would help it a lot, wouldn't he? So let's say Joe, because it'd just be interesting. He loves that sort of stuff. Dead or alive? Dead or alive? Who probably needs to do the cleanse? I'm trying to think of someone who's I love. Well, if I'm maybe because I'm doing the cleanse and I'm talking to him, I do like Gabor Mate recently, the guy I was talking about. Okay, so look into his stuff for people listening. A lot of them will know it, but he's a great dude. And let's just say Russell Crowe.
Yes.
Let's say Russell Crowe.
Love a bit of Russell Crowe.
Can't even tell you why,
Yeah.
but let's just say Russell
Just
Crowe.
Aussie legend.
Yeah, I like him. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
If you
Final
were
question.
if you were to recommend one daily habit, or you could only choose to do one, what would it be?
I'm big on fascia work, I reckon. So rolling your body out, not
Ellie loves fashion work. All the fashion work.
people would have thought I said that, so like
So fascia.
fascia, rolling your tissue out. I don't stretch a muscle now unless I've hydrated it first. When you roll a muscle out, it hydrates it. It brings water to it. So when you
Yeah,
it's like a
right.
sponge. You push on it, then you let go and it absorbs.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So that's why you do that, right? So and you'll find if you have a tight muscle for people listening, say you want to stretch your quad, feel it. Do a quad stretch, do a couch stretch and feel that. Then feel where the tightness is. Take a ball or a roller to that area, hydrate the tissue, then go retest, and you'll be blown away from the difference in range of motion. It's like trying to stretch a rope with a knot in it. Take that knot out, which could be dry fascial tissue, so it slides and glides. And a mentor of mine, Diane, she found a bunion on this lady's foot during a cadaver. So the bunion's where they got that bone on the inside of the big toe. And she was like, why isn't that foot pronating? Because the foot should flatten. The arch was staying high. It wouldn't happen. So that when that happens, the toe will curl out. And she goes, let's find out. So they got a chainsaw. They chopped her leg off because remember, she's dead on the table. Peeled the leg back, found a fascial adhesion, which is in the tib posterior. Don't need to know the details. But anyway, it's a muscle that would hold that up. Found a fascial adhesion and got a scalpel,
A knife.
and cut it, and then the whole foot pronated. So that her
Wow.
issue was a fascial restriction near that bone, which you never would have found. No therapist would have found that, but that was a really good example of quantifying. Oh, okay, this is bigger because it's our body's plumbing.
Yeah.
So when we sit like this right now, we're in knee flexion. That's going to push the water out of our knees. If your hips are always in front of the midline, like your anterior tilt, that generally tightens the calves up. It's because the weight is literally on the calf, so it's contracting the calf, but it's not letting go, so it pushes the water out. So you, over time and over years, that dries out. It becomes sticky because we are matter. We are this stickiness. So what that does is hydrates you, brings lymphatic pump through the body. And I also had a girl that had a swollen hand for 2 years, and foam rolling in the rib cage got rid of it. So within 2 days, and she had it for 2 years, and she did all blood work. Wasn't even seeing me for that. We were just doing other stuff, but that just happened. So that was a cool example, knowing, it's the plumbing of the body. So we should roll through and clean out our tissue.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's actually unreal. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. It's like a daily, at night I just do a little bit, but I don't have many trigger points on me anymore. When I do it, it's not bad. First time someone does it, it's like agony. And the older you get, the drier it gets. So you got to drink water, make sure movement gets the water to the area. But if movement hasn't gone to that area in a long time, tissue work can clear that blockage up, and then movement can maintain it. So that's the goal.
Man, you've dumped so much knowledge in the last, hour and a half, hour and 45 or whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly, incredible. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
Honestly, looking
Appreciate
forward.
it.
I'm scared shitless of this cleanse.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking forward to it and sharing the results and just learning from you. So thank you so much for coming down here.
It's been amazing. And thank you for just showing people that your past is not necessarily your future, and
For sure.
who you are at that point in time doesn't have to be the person you are in the future. So I think it's amazing to share your story and the success that you've had since you went through that experience. And it's just like so nice for you to come on here and share your story.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We're going to drop
We'll put all
Cal's
the links and all the
details
things on the things
in the
with
show
things.
notes.
Yeah.
If you love this episode, share it with all of your friends.
Anyone who might need
Share
a
it
little
with
bit of a
everyone.
nudge in the right direction as well, mindset and physically.
Yeah.
And just that last final message, because it changed my life, was like that quote, look with your eyes and ears, but let your heart be your compass. Because I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. And your heart will always guide you, like literally like a compass. Like feel for that buzz, because it tells you what's right and it tells you what's wrong too. So you can get out of your head, listen to your heart. And it's just every time everyone knows, every time you don't listen to it, eventually you're like, I was right in the end, So listen to that, because it will really help you with everything in life.
Love
Amen.
That. Love that.
Amen.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks, Cal.
Much love.
Thanks for listening to In Real Life. If you'd like to show your support, you can subscribe on Spotify, and don't forget, you can watch full episodes on Spotify or YouTube. We'll catch you next time.